everyone, welcome to my video. I'm Ling Guo, a Ph.D. candidate in Industrial and Systems Engineering at University of Oklahoma. Today is a very short video about outlining a research paper in 10 steps. So I'll go through these 10 steps quickly. First, write your abstract and title. So think of what the message you want your authors to take away. Write them down, refine them, and this forms the core of your abstract. And then analyze and identify keywords. These are the words you expect your potential readers to use them to search for your paper and read it. Second, your closure and closing remarks. This refines your thinking of what your readers will take away by reading your paper. And be sure it will be consistent with your abstract. Step 3, the core section. This is the experimental set you set up for your paper. And step 4, the results, discussion, and conclusions. So the key conclusions that you draw by looking at the results should be in this part. And this again should be consistent with your abstract and closure. Step 5, a reality check. Check the consistency and connections among step 1 to step 4. Do the modification if necessary. Step 6, gap analysis. So in this step, you refine your critical literature review. This doesn't mean you start reviewing the literature now. This means you have already reviewed the literature before you starting this outline, but you write them up and organize them into an outline of the paper now. Step 7, introduction. So in this introduction is the section you introduce your engineering problem or test problem and provide the motivation of studying this problem. Step 8, another reality check, which is to check the consistency and connections among step 1 to step 7. Make sure they support each other. Step 9, start cutting and pasting. For each journal or conference, it may require a different format or template. You use that template to frame your paper. You may have already done a lot of work in a poster session, in a presentation, or in some other writing examples. You need to cut and paste them back to your dissertation again, or paper. Step 10, take it from here. It's an outline now. You need to update it again and again along with your paper writing until the submission. Here are some good examples of outline. This is a team-style outline. So Dr. Tim Simpson is a professor at Penn State University. This is the outline for his dissertation. So first, the header informing what this is about and the author's name. And then the title of your dissertation. So this is a dissertation outline. For a single research paper, it's the same thing. Then the abstract of this whole dissertation. Briefly state the research gaps you fill in this dissertation, the methods you use or develop, the contributions you make. And then you need to have the title of each chapter, the abstract of each chapter, just as the abstract of the dissertation, but in a little bit greater detail. Then the most important thing on this page is the structure regarding addressing research questions. So for a dissertation, you may have multiple research questions to answer. For each research question, you may address it in different sections or subsections. You need to highlight where you address it. Then, don't forget your footer with a page number or some other information you want to show. Next is the table of content for each chapter. Within this table, you need to illustrate the resource of each subsection. You may have done the corresponding work somewhere else and cut and paste them here. So you need to inform your reader where it is, especially your committee member and advisor, to make sure they trust you can finish within the due date. So this is another outline, the Jelena style outline. Jelena now is assistant professor at University of Liverpool. So this is her dissertation outline at OU. I'll only highlight the difference between Jelena style outline and team style outline. So in her outline, she gives how does she evolve each research question by giving fundamental definition and justifying them in the specific context of her test problems. Then, a very exciting part is she gives how does each research question associate with the validation square. So I'll show the validation square in later pages. Then in her table of content for each chapter, she gives how does each subsection relevant with each research question. And then a progress for each subsection given a percentage. So you need to have a reason for this percentage. Does it mean the time or working content or anything? You need to have a standard of this definition. Then the date, the last date that you revise your dissertation or outline. This is the validation square. It has 4 quad charts. So in the first quad chart, you address the theoretical structural validity of your dissertation. Usually it's the first 2 or 3 chapters of your dissertation, illustrating the motivation of your study or research, give a critical literature review and identify the research gaps, and pose your research questions, and introduce the methods you're going to use or develop. The second quad chart is the empirical structural validity. In this part, you use one or several test problems to demonstrate the utility of your methods, and the results are useful for discussion. And in the third quad chart is the empirical performance validity. So in this quad chart, you refer back to the hypothesis you give when you pose the research questions, and to verify that you have answered the research question, your hypotheses are right, and your results are useful. And the fourth one is the theoretical performance validity. This is the way forward based on your dissertation. Your method or results are useful to some other problems. The utility of your research. And another important part for Jelena style outline is mapping research question and hypothesis with outcome. For each research question, you need to have one or several research hypotheses to answer the research question. Hypothesis is simply by taking what kind of actions you will answer the research questions. And along with it, it should have outcome as new knowledge, either a new method or a new algorithm or some new mathematic findings. So this table just gives you a roadmap of how to answer each research question by carrying out and prove your hypothesis, and then by doing this, what kind of new knowledge you will create or have already created. Finally, in Jelena style outline, she gives a timeline using something like a Gantt chart to highlight the progress or schedule and make sure her committee member trusts her that she can finish within a certain date. So what is not an outline? Here are some examples that are not outline. The table of content of your paper or dissertation is not an outline. The action plan or action list or tasks you will do to finish this paper is not an outline. The essay template is not an outline. The paper draft is not outline, although you do need a paper draft along with the outline. Whenever you update your paper draft, you need to update your outline to make sure they are on the same page. So using an outline, you can track your paper, you can track your research, and make sure you are doing something within a boundary and can address the things you claim to address in your abstract and closing remarks. And finally, dissertation structure is not an outline. However, it can be a part of your outline. Thank you for watching this video. Welcome to explore my webpage.